comedy great again. Finally, we might be on the straight and narrow on that, for now. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Always happy to see you guys here. And welcome to my review of The Naked Gun, the latest starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. This makes the fourth in the Naked Gun series, and it is the requel, sequel, dequel, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I just call it legacy sequel. I don't read into those other terms. I mean, why not? Why complicate things? So basically what you have here is Frank Drebin Jr., played by Liam Neeson, who is basically the son of Leslie Nielsen's character from those first three films, who goes on this case to try to stop this billionaire tech into world domination. And if you watched any of the other three Naked Gun films, it's a lot similar to that, but that's all I'll say. But that's basically what you have here. It was never going to be Shakespeare. It's a comedy. It's a slapstick parody film about a cop that does stupid things. And that's all you need to know. That's basically all you need to know. That's what all the other Leslie Nielsen starred Naked Gun films was. And that's what this is, only with Liam Neeson. So going into this, I was nervous. Especially when that first trailer dropped, where you see the little girl walking into that bank heist, and then Liam Neeson pulling back that mask like Mission Impossible, and him taking down all those bad guys. It was a fun watch, especially with that first trailer, but it got me nervous. Because I'm somebody who grew up with Leslie Nielsen and his work with Airplane and those original Naked Gun films, of course, and Spy Hard, Wrongfully Accused. He was the man when it came to comedy. And I believed there for the longest time that when he died 15 years ago, which was pretty devastating, I remember my dad woke me up and that was the first thing I heard that morning. And when he died, comedy pretty much died with him. And I believed that there for the longest time, and it's pretty much been true. Now, I know comedy, slapstick parodies aren't for everybody, but they were definitely for me. And again, those sort of just died with him. But when this new Naked Gun film got announced, and Liam Neeson was to take over the role, again, I was a little nervous. I've always known him to do action stuff, for mainly like in Taken. Yeah, I was a little nervous. But then when that second trailer dropped, I found myself watching that constantly. I must have watched that 10 times because it hit all the right spots and it just gave me so much more confidence. You know, the first trailer is just mainly a teaser and it gives you a glimpse of what's to come. It's not even a real trailer to me. But then when the second trailer, the actual real trailer comes out, that's when all the stops gets put out there. And that's what did it for me. And I started feeling a little bit more confident. But after watching the film, after going to see it twice, once with my dad and the second time with my friend, I can say in full honesty and full confidence, Liam Neeson, you did me proud. You did me proud. I don't know about you guys, but you did me proud, that's for sure. And again, that's spoken from somebody who is a true Leslie Nielsen fan. Somebody who's grew up with him ever since I was probably 7, 8 years old. Of course, I've always been a fan of the parody slapstick stuff. I mean, I've been watching the Three Stooges since I was 5. And that's basically the main source as to why I'm into parody slapstick comedies like this. Now some might say, you're not that old. So, I mean, I also watched The Wizard of Oz and The Lucy Show and Happy Days. Doesn't make me any less me. But anyway, setting that aside, moving on. Starting off the positives for The Naked Gun, I do gotta say, again, Liam Neeson really did it for me. Like I said, I was very nervous going into this because Leslie Nielsen just brought that charm about him and that goofiness and slapstick ways that he just did so well that I don't think anybody else could have mastered that because there's just only one of each of us. There's definitely one of him. But with Liam Neeson, he did it in his own way, and I thought he did it really good. I thought he mastered it pretty well. I didn't think he was trying to outshine Leslie Nielsen in the slightest. He was trying to make it his own, to play it off as the chip off the old block, because that's who he was in this film. He was the son of Leslie Nielsen's character. And I thought he did a good job at playing it as his own while still maintaining some of Leslie Nielsen's silly ways and goofy ways that Leslie Nielsen mastered so well. Again, I didn't think Liam Neeson was trying to outshine him or make us think that he was better than him. He was just doing it in his own way while still keeping some of that essence, and I thought he did a really good job at doing that. The legacy of it all, I thought Liam Neeson did a really good job, and I really do praise him. And like I said, going into this, Liam Neeson had some big shoes to fill, but I thought he filled them out pretty well. And I really did enjoy his take on this character on Frank Drebin Jr. He's not no Leslie Nielsen. Like I said, there's only one of each of us, and there's definitely only one of Leslie Nielsen. But Liam Neeson did a really good job in just doing it his own way while still showing that he had what it takes. And again, I thought he did that really well. I thought he played it off really well. I kind of wish Leslie Nielsen was still around, and it kind of makes me sad too, because it would have been interesting to see the collaboration between them two, just what they could have accomplished gag-wise. But it is what it is. But Liam Neeson, I thought he did a really good job at just capturing the essence of what Leslie Nielsen did in his own way.
Thanks.
Speaking of the gags, I thought they worked out really well. I found myself laughing plenty of times, especially both my father and my friend. I thought my friend was going to have a heart attack. I've never seen her laugh that much. But I laughed quite a bit. There was certain gags in there that really worked. Others that kind of didn't, which I'll get into that later in another segment. But I really did enjoy what was brought here. I think we need some more of that slapstick humor, that parody humor that we've been missing so much here lately. I've been saying for the longest time that comedy has been dead on arrival, whether it's been horror, whether it's been in the MCU, or comedy in general. We need actual good comedy. For The Naked Gun, as far as I'm concerned, it did its job. It definitely did its job. This is a dumb, goofy slapstick comedy that would definitely have your funny bone active at all times. There are certain gags that had me laughing out of my seat, and especially, again, going back to how Liam Neeson portrayed this character and how similar he was to Leslie Nielsen, but in his own way. It just really helped the fact that Liam Neeson seemed like he knew what he was doing. It's like he took a bunch of Leslie Nielsen films home with him in preparation for this role before they even started rolling cameras, right after they got greenlit, and he just watched every single one of the Naked Gun films. I wouldn't be surprised if he even watched Spy Hard and Wrongfully Accused and all them. I do believe that he did a bunch of homework and he knew the type of shoes that he was filling so he could get prepared for it, because I'm pretty sure even Liam Neeson knew that he'd have some big shoes to fill, and that he did. But as far as the gags goes, because of his performance, they worked really well, and I really do praise this film for that. And I gotta go into one more little detail about this topic. I know I've been on this topic for a while, but I'll try and make that short and sweet. But the way that these films work, and not just with The Naked Gun, but with others like Dracula Dead and Loving It, and even Blazing Saddles, is where you have something that's going on in the foreground as opposed to the background. Something goofy, something silly. And it's just it's that genre that when you watch a comedy like this, you have to pay attention like just about 99% of the time, otherwise you won't get the joke. That's why the first time when I went and seen this with my father, I had my snacks in my hands, I had my nachos and my popcorn and drink, and I was like chewing down and I was looking down just for a second, and then something goofy happened. It's like, whoa, what I miss? That's why the second viewing I had popcorn, but I was like engaged more. See, that's the thing with these movies. You have to pay attention, otherwise you will not get the joke. That's why back in the early 80s, the Police Squad show that also starred Leslie Nielsen, before they even came out with the Naked Gun films, didn't last. Because people was getting up for bathroom breaks or whatever. But if it's in a theater, then you'd be able to get the full experience, which is why the Naked Gun films came into existence. But as far as this type of comedy and just the way it plays out, it was here. It was definitely here. That's another reason why I praise this. And I just felt like they didn't veer off at all, and I'm just so happy for it.
This oven is disgusting.
Not only that, but you get a great great chemistry between Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson. I thought they was right on par. I thought they fed off each other very, very nicely. Just like when Priscilla Presley and Leslie Nielsen did their thing in the original trilogy. It reminded me so much of that. They never got away from any of that. They played off of each other very well. Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, just like Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley. It was a great dynamic, great feel, and they made a great comedic duo that really resonated and connected very well for the tone of this film, especially for the type of comedy that this was, or that this is. Which is why, and I'm not going to go into rumors or anything, but all the interviews that's been going around about Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson were dating, whether that's true or not, I'm rooting for them. But again, I won't get into that, so let's move on. This honestly felt like a Naked Gun film, which was another worry of mine, because none of the filmmakers from the original trilogy showed up, especially in the Zucker brothers, which really worried me because that's who made those original films. I didn't want this to veer away into the abyss of comedies that we've been getting. I didn't want that. I wanted a dumb, silly, goofy, stupid, slapstick good time. But thankfully I was proven wrong and couldn't have been happier, because this really felt like those original trilogies, those original films that really kept the magic of the type of comedy this was. And I was so relieved by the time the end credits rolled around. I was so relieved because that's exactly what we got. They stuck to that original form, especially knowing that Seth MacFarlane of all people is involved in this. I didn't want another Ted or another Hangover. I didn't want that. But luckily, they stuck with what worked for these films, and I couldn't be happier. The only thing that kind of did bug me a little bit as I dive into the mix, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but when they did a gag and you laugh, which it did make me laugh quite a bit, it did its job, but when they do a gag, they didn't really give you enough time to kind of breathe until the next gag. Almost to the point to where when a gag would happen, when a joke would happen, somebody would say something funny, and then you would laugh, but then they would say something funny immediately after that, and you would not catch it in time. That would tend to kind of happen a little bit more than what I wished it would, which is why it probably took me a second viewing to actually get what was said, what I didn't catch before. So I just felt like it didn't really give you enough time to actually assess what was said until the next joke rolled around, because you were laughing at that first joke so hard that you didn't catch it. But at second viewing, it gave you a chance. So for some people, it might not be until like the third viewing for them before they actually get the joke, which is the only thing. But again, it's not something that took me out of it. It's not something that pissed me off or anything. Again, I praise the jokes. I think that this is one of the best comedies that has come out in a long time, which is the only reason why that's not getting to me, which is the reason why that's in the mixed. But I had a really good time with this. Again, it's just one of those that's not going to be for everybody. Slapstick, parody, humor, I get it. But it's just something that I've always adored ever since I was a child, and it's just something that I'm hoping to God that they bring back. And I hope that the Naked Gun 2025 will be the savior of comedy and the thing that gets comedy back to where it belongs and where it needs to be. But if you're a Liam Neeson fan as well as a Naked Gun fan, you'll definitely enjoy this. It is definitely something that you should own. So the new Naked Gun, what was your thoughts on it? Have you had a chance to see it yet? Are you a fan of this? Are you a fan of the whole parody, slapstick comedy thing? Were you excited for this new film? Were you excited when you found out that Liam Neeson was going to take up the part? Or like me, were you a little worried at first, but then got relieved once you saw the film? Or are you somebody that just doesn't care at all? Do you think comedy like this is just stupid? Or are you one of those that just never really cared to see this in the first place? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for clicking here and watching this. As always, I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon, set it to all if you like what you see. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.